My name is Danielle Barkhouse. I am the MLA for Chester St Margarets. I have lived in this community for over 40 years. I come from the background of municipal council, so I was a term and a bit at MODC, or the Municipality of Chester. And so I guess my relationship is that I love where I live, and I want it to just represent and work hard and do as much as I can for the people in this community. I think when people are ready, whether it's seniors or groups, when it's ready to move to that stage, because you don't see it a lot right now. When it's ready, then government needs to take that into account when they're making some decisions in regards to income level. And that's really, I feel, the only way of doing it, because there's so many variables with each person. It all depends, you know. A lot of, like, for example, I clear $54,000 a year, which is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But I'm also a single mother of 3 with one going to college. So there's different variables, right? And I have one with a disability, so there's another variable put in. And so there's so many variables for this. It's kind of hard to, as government, I'd like to think you try to do a gloss over, like what's best, and then tweak it from there, because each person is different. The reality, whether it's housing or community sometimes, or lack of friendship, or there's so many things, everything plays into healthcare. It really does. I spent a lot of years worrying on how I was going to afford the next jug of milk or fill the oil tank. And so I'm sure that put some years on my life. It did not help my health at all. Worrying about things really affects people. We've seen study after study just for animals. Having a pet helps you live longer. You know, so of course having somebody around that cares is going to make you healthier. Yeah, I think anyways. It's all intertwined. Everything's intertwined, because it's all things we need to survive, things we need to live and be happy. Yeah. I think the impediment is that it hasn't been done a lot. And so therefore it's always a question of where do you go, what are next steps? In some cases, is it safe? You always have to think of the best but prepare for the worst, because you just don't know what can happen, and how do you protect people, whether it's a tenant or a renter. There's a lot of rivers that flow into this lake, and so you have to be prepared for all of them. So in order to be prepared, and look, government doesn't always get it right, but the more prepared they are, the more they know, the more chances that government can actually carry something like this to the finish line. Yeah. I think because a lot of people are set in their ways. I think that something new could be intimidating, or people that have done it before need to share their stories, and it needs to be advertised. I think the more people know, the more people understand, and the more people feel comfortable, then the faster it will take off. But it is quite new, really, and it doesn't happen a lot. And I think that some people don't even say that it's happening due to fear of embarrassment, or and I don't mean embarrassment in a negative way, whether it's they don't want people to know that they're lonely, whether they don't want people to know they could use a little extra money, whether they don't want people to know that they're overhoused. You know, we all get set in our ways, and I think it's fear of the unknown. Here, just in my 2 years here, have introduced someone to live with a senior, and it's working out great. Now I do my once a week, once a month call to see how everything's going for both parties involved, in order to make sure that everybody feels safe and everything's going smoothly. And is it sometimes a mediator? Absolutely. It's like anyone. There's ebbs and flows of relationships. So maybe the problem is not, maybe the problem is it's not advertised enough and not enough uptick on it. And in all honesty, how can I say this best? In all honesty, it needs to be a want and desire of the people. And government is not doing anything to stop it. They're not advertising for it, no, and maybe that's something that we should look into. But again, you're opening your house at 80, 90 to a stranger. There's going to be some kinks. Not all the time, but every now and then. And so for me, I do my monthly or weekly, it depends, check-in because I worry about both of them. And, you know, and this worked out great for them, but it doesn't necessarily work out great for everybody. That's my job, is to fix things, to try to fix things. And so I saw two needs, and knowing their personalities enough, I should say, knowing them enough, thought, hey, this might work out. And so, you know, and maybe more MLAs or MPs or councillors need to wrap their mind around what shared housing means and start pushing it in their constituency, because if I ever see that opportunity again, it's the first thing I'm going to jump at, because there is a lack of housing, because it is expensive to live. And so for me, that's a perfect solve for those two people. So I had a senior, a lady in Chester St Margarets who was lonely and was overhoused and needed a little income, extra income. She wasn't hurting for money, I guess. That's an old school way of saying it. But we all want to do a little extra in life. And I had a young lady who needed a place to live, very young, very inexperienced, very delightful young lady who was looking and for space somewhere, but couldn't quite afford an apartment. And just, you know, the light bulb went on in my head and said, well, wait a second here. I'm wondering, you know, this young lady was willing to go above and beyond. She did a criminal record check. She gave references, and we sat down and worked out, you know, what, you know, because the elderly lady is allergic to animals, so she had to get rid of her cat in order to do this. And to some people, I've had one person in here that was homeless, and I managed to get her to the top of the list, but she refused to go because she wouldn't give up her dog. And it wasn't even her dog. It was somebody else's dog that she took control of 6 months beforehand. And so that's a thing, right? But these two were willing to work it out, and they've been happy ever since. Turns out they're a little bit of kindred spirits, because, you know, the older woman can see herself in this young woman, and the young woman who, what's a good word for it? Maybe was detached from her family sooner than most. Sees a bit of a motherly role in this woman. So, I mean, it worked out. I can't believe it, because you worry. And at the end of the day, it's their decisions to make, not mine. It's just like, here's an idea. What do you think? If you need any help, I'm here for you. You know, I think they're going to be living together for a long time because they get along so well. But is that the norm? I don't know. I think it's a compromise if, you know, the two people are good at compromising, and the two people understand that, you know, they're getting involved in a social situation. Like, and there's just no, you have to go tomorrow. That's not, because you're really tying yourself up by saying yes to having someone move in, because you can't do a 24-hour kick out, right? You have to still stick to those laws. Yeah. Well, I think we need a mediation group that are willing to work with people in their homes and people that need a home. I think that few government programs wouldn't, maybe not few, just one even, grant to allow seniors, seniors or people might feel more comfortable if it's a cut-off living space instead of, every morning waking up and seeing that person at the coffee machine. So a grant to help seniors or, individuals under a certain amount of money, bring it up to fire code, bring it up to a point where they feel comfortable, because it's expensive to put in a firewall, to put in electricity, but if there was some kind of program, then it'd be a lot less money for these people, and it might make more of a, you might get more of an uptick, if you will. Yeah. So I think that, and I think advertisement. I think people who actually do it, going out and saying, I've done this for years, or I've done it for a year. It's the best thing I've ever done because of A, B, and C. And allowing people to know, like, if it's not for you, you don't have to stay in that situation. This is your home. These are your rights. Yeah. So I think those things would really help. Advertisement, mediator, and some kind of fund so people can take an option of having their own space still. Well, I think this is a good start. What the group is doing is a good start, because it can be sent out to community groups, to seniors associations, to the CEC, to the Housing Coalition at the head of the Bay. And so this is a very good start, but I think knowledge, without knowledge, nobody feels comfortable in decisions. So I think the number one thing that needs to be done is making people knowledgeable about this, how it works, what can and cannot be done. And again, stuff like this is an excellent start, right? This will give something tangible to give to people, to help explain, That's what I think is the most important. Money doesn't fix everything, especially when you're dealing with an issue as being overhoused, And for people who are looking for rentals, some of the times it's not about the money, it's about the space and finding it. So I just think information. It'll make people feel secure. And that's really what most people are looking for in life. Yeah.